In this video, we're going to take a look at the Player's Manual for the Redbox BECMI series. These are going to cover levels 1 through 3, and we're going to take a look at the Demi-Humans, the Dwarf, the Elf, and the Halfling. If you'd like to see more of this content and more how to play BECMI, be sure to leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel. So the Dwarf in the Redbox Dungeons & Dragons is a fighter with special abilities. Now, with regards to armor, they can use any type of armor and they can use a shield, but dwarves can only use weapons that are small or normal size. They cannot use two-handed swords and they cannot use longbows. Now for hit dice or hit points for a dwarf, we're going to roll the 8-sided die. So in this case, we're going to roll 5 and we're going to add our constitution bonus. Now in order to be a dwarf, you have to have a minimum score of a constitution of 9 or greater. Now this is different than the human classes that don't have minimum scores, but all the demi-human classes are going to have this. So dwarf, constitution 9 or higher. Now a prime requisite for a dwarf is going to be strength. If a dwarf has a strength of 13 or more, then they're going to get a 5 or 10% bonus to their experience points when they're calculated at the end of the game. Now the demi-humans do take quite a while to level up. For a first level dwarf, they are going to be known as a veteran. When they reach 2200 experience points, they'll become level 2 warrior. And then at 4400 experience points, they'll obtain level 3 and become a sword master. Very similar to the fighter. Dwarves are also one of the best classes at the earlier levels for saving throws. As you can see here, we have a death ray or poison that is an 8 or higher to be able to pass that. Magic wands are 9, paralysis, turn to stone 10, and then 13 for dragon's breath and 12 for rod, staves, or spells. This is much better than a human counterpart. Now dwarves have infravision, and infravision is seen in reds and blues depending on the heat signature of the being or the item that they see. But items such as tables or objects still put off a dim blue light, so they'll be able to see that in the dark. The infravision for a dwarf goes out to 60 feet. In addition to languages of all characters, which are the common and alignment tongues, the dwarf can also speak dwarf, gnome, goblin, and kobold. Another special ability of dwarves is dwarves are experts at mining. They can sometimes detect traps, sliding walls, sloping corridors, and new constructions. If a dwarf character wants to search for such things, they will tell their dungeon master and have a 1 chance in 2 to find them. So a dungeon master is going to roll a d6 and a result of 1 or 2 is going to be a success. On page 46 is the elf, and the elf is arguably one of the best classes in basic Dungeons & Dragons. The elf is going to be like a fighter and a magic user combined. With that in mind, an elf can wear any type of armor and they can use a shield, and an elf may use any type of weapon. They do have a minimum score requirement, so an elf has to have an intelligence score of 9 or greater when they're first played. As far as getting a bonus to their experience points, elves have 2 prime requisites, which are strength and intelligence. If both of those scores are 13 or higher, then they're going to get that percentage when experience points is calculated at the end of an adventure. Elf saving throws are moderate. We start with a 12 for death ray or poison, and then 13, 13, 15, and 15. Now, looking at our elf experience table, the elf takes the longest to be able to level up. A first level elf is known as a veteran medium. They get 1 first level spell, and then it takes 4,000 experience points to become a second level elf. A second level elf is known as a warrior seer, and they get to be able to cast 2 first level magic user spells. When they reach 8,000 experience points, they'll become level 3, they become a sword master or conjurer, and then they can cast 2 first level spells and 1 second level spell per day. Like the dwarf, the elf also has infravision. They're able to see in the dark in shades of red or blue depending on the heat signature of a creature or an object, and that's going to be up to 60 feet. For languages, the elf can speak common and alignment, and they can also speak elf, gnoll, hobgoblin, and orc. Now the hit die or hit points for elves is determined using a 6-sided die. Now that is the die that's in between the 4-sided for a magic user and an 8-sided for the fighter. So at level 1, we roll our d6, and that would be a 2, plus our Constitution bonus. Elves are also really good at detecting secret doors, and when they would like to search for a secret door in an area, they can ask their Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master will roll a d6, and on a result of 1 or 2, if a secret door is there to be found, the Dungeon Master will let the elf know that they have found a secret door. And then finally, an elf is immune to ghoul paralysis. So any type of hit from a ghoul is not going to paralyze an elf. However, other types of paralysis, such as from a carrion crawler or a gelatinous cube, may affect them. Our final demi-human race is going to be the Halfling. Now, our Halflings are going to be very similar to a thief, but they're going to get special abilities for being a Halfling. With regards to armor, a Halfling can wear any kind of armor, and they can use a shield. However, their armor and shields must be specifically made for their small size. Even dwarf size armor is too large for them. Now, as far as weapons are concerned, a Halfling may use any small size weapon, such as a dagger, a short sword, or a short bow, but Halflings may not use two-handed swords, longbows, battle axes, pole arms, or other large weapons. For a Halfling's hit dice or hit points, they will roll a d6 and add their Constitution bonus. So in this case, we're going to have our Halfling roll a 6 and add their Con bonus for their starting hit points. Now, in order to be a Halfling, you have a minimum requirement of a 9 or greater in both Dexterity and Constitution. So if you have a 9 or greater in Dexterity or Constitution, you can be a Halfling. A Halfling, like the elf, also has 2 prime requisites, strength and dexterity. If either of these ability scores is 13 or higher, the character gains a 5% bonus to XP earned in every adventure, and if both of these scores are 13 or greater, then the experience points is going to be a 10% bonus. Of the 3 demi-humans, the Halfling levels up the fastest, so they start as a level 1 Halfling veteran. 2,000 experience points puts them as a level 2 warrior, and 4,000 experience points a level 3 swordmaster. And again, we're only covering levels 1 through 3 in the Redbox D&D videos. Now, the Halfling does get 2 special abilities. The first is combat. Halflings often use missile weapons and are better at dodging the attacks of large creatures than are other characters. All Halflings gain the following bonuses when in combat. They get a -2 bonus to armor class when attacked by creatures larger than man size. So if our Halfling has a armor class of 5 and they're attacked by an ogre, then that would be an armor class of 3. Just a reminder that armor class, the lower you get in basic D&D, the better. Halflings also get a +1 bonus to the hit roll when using any missile weapon. So if our Halfling is using a short bow and they attack and roll a 16, they're able to add a +1 bonus, so that would be a 17. And then finally, the Halfling gets a +1 bonus to individual initiative if you're using that option. And then finally, our Halfling is really good at hiding outdoors. In the outdoor environment, Halflings are difficult to spot, having the ability to seemingly vanish into woods or underbrush. In such cover, they can only be detected 10% of the time, and that is a roll that the DM will do. Halflings can even hide in dungeons, though not with as much success. In normal light, if a Halfling finds some shadows or cover to hide in, remaining absolutely quiet and not moving, the attempt at hiding will succeed 1/3 of the time. To use this ability, you will tell the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master will roll a d6, and a result of 1 or 2 is going to indicate success at hiding. Now, as a Dungeon Master, I rolled a 6, so the Halfling thinks that they are hiding cleverly, but in all actuality, they're not hiding well at all. Now, any type of magical light, such as the cleric spell, is going to impede the Halfling's ability to hide. So those are the 3 demi-human classes that you're going to find in BECMI. That is the basic set, and we are covering the character levels 1 through 3 as found in the Players Manual Red Box. If you would like to see this series continue, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below as to what you'd like to see next. Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.